Here are the top stories for today, November 5, 2021. Restrictions are further relaxed. Metro Manila is now under Alert Level 2 until November 21 as the COVID-19 situation continues to improve and with vaccination still in full blast. President Rodrigo Duterte is not mincing his words against the International Criminal Court. He asserts he is ready to take full responsibility for the war on drugs and even face jail time. A slight sigh of relief for consumers. The country's inflation eased to 4.6% in October. The central bank says there is nothing to worry about the inflation outlook for the rest of the year. And always a Filipino by heart. The Philippine Olympics Committee thanks Yuka Saso for raising the Filipino flag in major competitions abroad as she decides to become a Japanese citizen. Good day, I'm Marita Muahe. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Metro Manila eases to Alert Level 2 starting today until November 21. Under Alert Level 2, business establishments can now operate at 50% capacity for indoor venues and 70% capacity for the outdoor venue. Among the allowed establishments are venues for meetings, incentives, conferences and exhibitions, venues for social events, tourist attractions, amusement parks or theme parks, recreational venues, cinemas and movie houses, limited face-to-face or in-person classes, in-person religious gatherings, gatherings for necrological services, wakes and funerals, dine-in services, personal care establishments such as barbershops, spas, salons, and other similar procedures, fitness studios, gyms, and venues for individual non-contact exercise and sports, film, music, and TV production, contact sports approved by the LGU, playgrounds, playroom, and kiddie rides, karaoke bars, clubs, concert halls, and theaters, and gatherings in residences with individuals not belonging to the same household. Starting December 1, all alert level assignments shall be determined every 15th and 30th of the month. Escalations may be done at any time in the middle of the implementation period as warranted, while de-escalations can only be done at the end of the 2-week assessment period. Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergeire explains that the easing of restrictions in the National Capital Region from Alert Level 3 to Alert Level 2 was based on the decline in the number of COVID-19 cases, average daily attack rate, and lower hospitalization rate.
Unang-una po yung para sa Alert Level 2 ng National Capital Region. Kung matatandaan po natin lahat, nung isang linggo po, ang National Capital Region ay nakapagtala pa rin ng 10.27 na average daily attack rate. So just to inform the public that we use metrics for case trends such as the 2-week growth rate and the average daily attack rate and also our healthcare utilization. Last week, Metro Manila or NCR had 10.27 average daily attack rate, a negative 2-week growth rate, at ang kanilang healthcare utilization ay less than 50% na. So last week, they were in Alert Level 3 because of their ADAR na nasa more than 7, which was 10.27. Pero during this week, bumaba na po ng bumaba pa halos ang mga kaso. Ngayon po, ang average na lang po ng daily cases sa Metro Manila is just 493 cases per day. It is already less than 500 at napababa na po natin ang kanilang average daily attack rate to just 5.36. That is less than 7, and according to our metrics with a negative 2-week growth rate, less than 7 average daily attack rate, and less than 50% healthcare utilization, we can already de-escalate an area to Alert Level 2.
Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergeire said there is no decision yet for any brands of COVID-19 vaccine to be used as booster shots in the country. She said the Philippine Vaccine Experts Panel is still evaluating the available data.
Ang atin pong FDA ay patuloy na pinag-aaralan kasama ng ating vaccine experts, ito pong mga vaccine platforms na meron tayo. Nakapag-sumite na po for application ng EUA, amended EUA, ang Pfizer, ang AstraZeneca, ang Sinovac, para po ma-amend ang kanilang EUA so that they can use these vaccines para po sa third doses or boosters. Pero hanggang sa ngayon po, hindi pa ho tapos ang evaluation ng Food and Drug Administration dahil marami po tayong vaccine platforms. Compared to other countries, tayo po siguro yung gumagamit ng ganito 7 o 8 platform ng bakuna, iba't ibang bakuna. Kaya po yung pag-aaral na imimix po natin at mga kombinasyon kung ano ang dapat ibigay kapag nag-boosters ay hanggang sa ngayon kumakalap tayo ng ebidensya. So aantayin lang po natin yung Emergency Use Authority. Tama po yung sinabi ni Secretary Harry Roque. Ang initial recommendations po ng WHO, ibibigay muna ang third doses sa mga taong may immunocompromised states, magbibigay ng boosters sa healthcare workers at sa senior citizens. At pag-aaralan pa ho uli pagkatapos nito kung magbibigay tayo to the rest of the population.
In Zamboanga, local officials are studying the possibility of downgrading the city's quarantine status to the less strict general community quarantine effective November 16. This city is currently under a modified enhanced community quarantine following the recent surge in cases of COVID-19. Data from the City Health Office shows a decline in the number of active cases from 2,460 on October 28 down to 2,145 as of Tuesday, November 2. The city government targets to fully vaccinate 50% of the eligible population by December. Zamboanga City has so far recorded at least 2,109 breakthrough infections, or 0.45% of those who have either received their first or second dose of COVID-19 vaccines. The highest number of reported breakthrough infections are clustered around the 21 to 30 age group. Mayor Maria Isabel Climaco Salazar appealed to the public to strictly adhere to the minimum health standards and to get vaccinated when their turn comes. Inflation rate for October eases to 4.6%. Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas Governor Benjamin Diokno said the balance of risks remains on the upside as it decelerated from September's 4.8%. Data from the Philippine Statistics Authority shows that the latest figure is the lowest since July this year.
Ang headline inflation o ang pagtaas ng mga produkto at serbisyo sa bansa ay bumagal sa antas na 4.6% nitong Oktubre 2021. Noong September 2021, ang inflation ay naitala sa antas na 4.8% at 2.5% naman noong Oktubre 2020. Ang average inflation mula Enero hanggang Oktubre 2021 ay nasa antas na 4.5%.
National statistician Dennis Mapa also enumerates the factors that contribute to the easing of inflation in the country.
Ang pangunahing nag-ambag ay ang food and non-alcoholic beverages na may inflation na 5.3% at 45.2% share sa pangkalatang inflation. Ang pangalawang commodity group na may pinakamalaking ambag sa pangkalatang inflation ay ang housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels na may 4.4% inflation at 21.6% share sa pangkalatang inflation. Ang transport ang ikatlo sa may pinakamalaking ambag sa pangkalatang inflation nitong Oktubre 2021. Ang commodity group na ito ay nagtala ng 7.1% inflation at 12.7% share sa pangkalatang inflation.
Meanwhile, the unemployment rate in September slightly increased to 8.9% from 8.1% in August. Labor force participation also declined to 63.3% from 63.6% in the same period. The National Economic and Development Authority said these results were expected as many parts of the country remained under stringent and blanket quarantines for most of the survey period. Some 50,000 establishments in the country have complied with the grant of holiday pay to their workers in the first 9 months of this year. The Department of Labor and Employment said this translates to a 97% compliance rates to the holiday pay. On the other hand, over 1,400 firms failed to comply with the measure. However, businesses that fully stopped operations during the community quarantine are exempted from paying holiday pay. Workers may report establishments that have not paid holiday pay to the DOLE Hotline 1349 or the DOLE offices in their region. Under DOLE pay rules, during holidays, workers shall be paid 200% of their regular salary for that day for the first 8 hours if they reported to work. For those who did not work, the worker shall be paid 100% of his or her salary for that day. Still to come, the PO body says the petition seeking to void the candidacy of former Senator Bongbong Marcos may be resolved in December. Details ahead, keep it here on the PNA Newsroom.
The COVID-19 pandemic has greatly changed our lives for the worse. Lives and jobs were lost and economies reached a meltdown. Thanks to the arrival of safe and effective vaccines, we are one step closer to normalcy. It's time to do our part, get vaccinated for our safety and for our recovery.
You are there in that community, go there and have yourself vaccinated by any of the vaccines available. They are all potent, they are all effective.
I would like to appeal to all our kababayans, please get vaccinated against COVID-19 and be the government partner in preventing further spread of the disease. I encourage you to get vaccinated as soon as possible time. These vaccines are safe and they are the key to reopening our society. The need for international solidarity and cooperation cannot be made clearer than this pandemic because everyone is safe. No one is safe globally until everybody is safe.
Vaccines work.
President Rodrigo Duterte said he is grateful that the Philippines could still apply for loans despite the economic situation in the country. He made the remarks during the Joint National Task Force and the Regional Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict meeting in Palawan.
Mabuti naman yung mga loans natin. Until now, the international financial world continues to have supportado sa atin despite of our convoluted economic problems now. Meron pa rin silang tiwala.
The Bureau of Treasury reported that the Philippines' debt grew to 11.92 trillion pesos by the end of September. President Rodrigo Duterte said he had terminated the peace talks with the Communist Party of the Philippines political wing, the National Democratic Front or NDF, because it did not want to hold its members accountable for their killing spree. He said the NDF's disinclination to impose sanctions on communist guerrillas killing led to the collapse of peace negotiations.
Kaya nga bumagsak yung peace talks. Lahat ng binigay na mga proposals, binigay ko rin sa military, sabi ko, you study. Pero ako talaga, pagtanggap ko hindi na. And there was this one missing ingredient to arrive at a peaceful resolution of the conflict. Yung accountability. Wala. Hindi pwede yan ganoon. Kailangan may magsagot. Paano na yan?
President Duterte held a series of peace talks with the NDF but decided to scrap the negotiations following the NPA's relentless attacks against government troops and civilians. He formally ended the peace dialogue with the NDF through Proclamation 360 in November 2017. The termination of talks was followed by the December 2017 signing of Proclamation 273, which declared the CPP-NPA as a terror group. President Rodrigo Duterte lambasted anew the International Criminal Court or ICC for authorizing a full inquiry on his administration's drug war. The president stressed that the court does not have jurisdiction over Philippine affairs.
I will never accept jurisdiction. Mag-ayos na ang impyerno, hindi ang papayag dyan sa kalukuhan nila. I assume full responsibility. And if there's anybody who should go to prison, it should not be the police nor the PDEA. It should be me because they were acting upon my orders.
In September, the ICC's pre-trial chamber authorized the request of its former chief prosecutor, Fatu Bensouda, to conduct a full-blown investigation into Duterte's anti-illegal drugs campaign. President Duterte said the ICC knows nothing about domestic crimes, especially in areas where shabu or methamphetamine hydrochloride is abundantly sold. He pointed out that the ICC also seemed to ignore abuses suffered by overseas Filipino workers, particularly domestic workers in Middle Eastern countries.
Maraming sa Pilipinas, millions of Filipinas go to other countries. And these countries, pinsan yung napili nila, are countries na walang alam sa human dignity. They go there, the Filipinas, they are raped repeatedly. Kaya makita mo, tumatakbo na lang at papuntang bintana tapos mamatay. Kayong mga human rights, huwag ninyo akong bulahin, Pilipino ako. Kayo, sino, you pretend to atone for your sins in this. Sino ba nag-umpisa ng opresyon? Di ba kayo?
The resolution of the petition to cancel the certificate of candidacy of presidential aspirant Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. may be issued before the end of this year. COMELEC spokesperson James Jimenez said the process will take a few weeks as the respondent has 5 days to answer and 3 days to submit memoranda. On Tuesday, petitioners Father Christian Buenafe, Fides Lim, Maria Edelisa Hernandez, Celia Lagman Sevilla, Roland Vibal, and Josephine Lescano filed a petition to cancel Marcos COC for containing multiple false material representations. They said Marcos was convicted by the Regional Trial Court of Quezon City in a July 27, 1995 decision for his multiple failures to file income tax returns. The petitioners also said Marcos is not eligible to run for any public office because he was convicted. On Wednesday, Marcos spokesperson attorney Victor Rodriguez said they would address the petition at the proper time and forum after they have received the official copy. Vaccine czar Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. said he is in favor of pushing a mandatory COVID-19 vaccination in the country. This after Malacanang urges Congress to pass a law requiring Filipinos to get fully vaccinated against the dreaded disease. Citing a compulsory vaccination drive in other countries such as Israel and the United States, Galvez said there is a need to mandate inoculation to be able to keep the country's population safe against the severe impacts of the dreaded disease. He said that if the government will not compel the eligible population to get vaccinated, about 20 million unvaccinated individuals would be roaming around and will threaten those that are vaccinated. Meanwhile, Galvez cited a high percentage of vaccine hesitancy and low vaccination status, particularly in the far-flung areas of the region, such as in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao or BARMM, which has the lowest vaccination status, covering 0.67% out of its more than 2.3 million adult population. Galvez, however, noted an increase in the region's vaccine uptake upon receiving the single-shot Janssen vaccine. Galvez said the government ordered 6 million doses of the preferred Janssen jab, of which 4.5 million doses will be deployed to the different areas of BARMM, as well as in Tawi-Tawi, Sulu, and Basilan. The United Nations Children's Fund, or UNICEF, has rated the Philippines as one of the countries with the highest readiness for remote learning. A UNICEF study analyzed a total of 67 countries based on their readiness to deliver remote learning in response to school closures or disruption of in-person learning. Aside from the Philippines, Argentina, Barbados, and Jamaica received 5 stars, the highest score in the Remote Learning Readiness Index. UNICEF said these 4 nations have a strong policy response for remote learning supported by high emergency preparedness, as well as the existence of household factors that support remote learning. In a November 4 statement, the Department of Education acknowledged the teachers, parents, partners, learners, and other stakeholders for the realization of the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan. The DepEd said more than 27 million students were able to continue education while prioritizing their health and safety during the pandemic. The Department of Labor and Employment has started processing the claims of overseas Filipino workers from Saudi Arabia who were sent home in 2016 without getting paid. Secretary Silvestre Bello III directed the creation of a technical working group to expedite the process of the pay and benefits of some 9,000 Filipino workers. He also ordered the inclusion of OFW in the group that will meet with its counterpart from the host country to hasten the processing of the claims. The DOLE is hoping to form and convene the TWG next week. Overseas Workers Welfare Administration Chief Hans Leo Kakdak said all details should be ready before the scheduled visit of Saudi Arabia's Labor Minister Ahmed Al-Raji to Manila in December. During a meeting at the Abu Dhabi Dialogue in Dubai last week, Al-Raji agreed to pay the 4.6 billion pesos worth of unpaid wages and benefits to affected OFWs. More stories from the newsroom. More communist rebels yield following the death of top NPA leader Kaoris Madlos. And the Philippine Olympics Committee thanks Yuka Saso for flying the Philippine flag at least for some time in her life, as she is now a Japanese citizen. Back after a quick break, stay with the PNA Newsroom.
Kung customer ka, pupuntahan mo ba yung mukhang safe naman o yung certified na safe? Ang safety seal ay patunay na certified safe ang iyong business dahil nasusunod ang minimum public health standards. Meron din itong QR code para mapadali ang contact tracing. Ito ay libre lang. Pero, kailangang i-renew every 6 months or every year kung nasa tourism sector ang iyong business. Kung meron ka ng mga documents na ito, pwede ka na mag-apply para sa Safety Seal Certification. May iba-ibang office para sa iba't ibang klase ng mga negosyo. Pag na-determine nyo na ang issuing authority, simple lang ang steps para makuha ang safety seal. Pumunta sa office ng issuing authority o sa kanilang website. Kumuha ng safety seal checklist at magsagawa ng self-assessment para sa iyong business. I-submit ang checklist at abangan ang inspection schedule. Pag na-approve ang application, bibigyan kayo ng safety seal sticker. Pag hindi naman na-approve, Sasabihin kung anong health standard ang hindi nasunod at bibigyan kayo ng pagkakataong ayusin ito. Pag nakuha na ang safety seal, ipaskil ito sa may entrance para makita agad ng mga customer. Pwede nyo rin ipagmalaki na certified safe kayo sa inyong mga social media pages. Paalala lamang, ang isang safety seal ay para sa isang branch lang. Siguraduhin bawat branch mo ay certified safe. Siguraduhin din na nasusunod palagi ang minimum public health standards dahil baka mabawi ang iyong certification. Maaring mag-operate kahit na walang safety seal. Pero hindi ba mas mahalagang kampante ang mga customer sa loob ng iyong negosyo? Kaya kumuha na ng safety seal para ingat-angat tayong lahat.
Eight supporters of the New People's Army surrendered to the police in the town of Carmen, Agusan del Norte on November 3. The 8 members of the Militia ng Bayan heeded a call of the government to surrender following the death of top NPA Mindanao leader George Madlos alias Kaoris in an encounter with soldiers in Bukidnon. Provincial Police Director Brigadier General Romeo Karamat Jr. added that the 8 MBS also surrendered to save themselves from the fate that befell Madlos. The 8 surrenderies provided support to the insurgents of the dismantled guerrilla front 4A that operated in the towns of Las Nieves, Buena Vista, Nasipit, and Carmen. Karamat urged the remaining NPA rebels to surrender as a peaceful life awaits them should they choose to lay down their arms. Teduray farmers in Maguindanao have received a banana plantation to invest on for their livelihood with the help of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao and the Bangsamoro Board of Investments. The BBOI established the link between the Datu Kampong firm, a new banana investor, and the Osman Banana Plantation in Matanog, Maguindanao for banana plants supplies. The BBOI will also provide the firms with technical assistance or skills on the proper method of planting, as well as help them link their banana products to the market. The Datu Kampong plantation will be planted with the Cardava banana variety. BBOI Chair Ishak Mastura said this project will encourage more people to go into Cardava planting. Deputy MIPA Minister Gialel Abdurrahman meanwhile acknowledged the BBOI with assistance from Member of Parliament Suharto Ambolodoto for its efforts in providing an investment initiative for the indigenous people. The Novavax COVID-19 vaccine may be included in the mix and match study depending on the supply from the Department of Health in 1 to 3 months. The Department of Science and Technology made the statement as Novavax awaits approval for emergency use authorization. Faberco Life Sciences, which will be the local distributor of Covovax, announced that it anticipates the vaccine to get an EUA in the next few weeks as it recently gained approval in Indonesia. DOST Undersecretary Rowena Guevara said vaccines that apply for an EUA from the Food and Drug Administration are those that have phase 3 clinical trial interim results. This means they have data that shows the vaccine is safe and effective. The Philippines eyes 3,000 individuals to participate in the COVID-19 vaccines mix and match study, which seek to determine if there would be improvements if different brands of the vaccines were used. In our foreign news, Pfizer raised its revenue forecast from coronavirus vaccine sales to $36 billion or 1.8 trillion pesos for 2021. The company said the upward revision in the sales forecast reflects higher vaccine doses to be delivered in 2021, which amounts to an estimated 2.3 billion worldwide. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration paved the way for Pfizer-BioNTech's COVID-19 vaccine to be approved for children aged 5 to 11, opening the door to getting millions of more shots in arms. Pfizer saw its revenue increase 134% to $24.1 billion in the third quarter from $10.27 billion in the same period last year. In sports, Philippine Olympics Committee President Abraham Tolentino thanked U.S. Women Open champion Yuka Saso for having represented the country, saying she remains a Filipino by heart. The Philippines lost a gem after Saso announced on Wednesday her decision to choose Japanese citizenship when she turns 22 on June 20, 2023. Tolentino said Saso's personal business decision will help her develop as a person and athlete in addition to the healthcare, social benefits, and sponsorships she will get as a Japanese citizen. Saso was born to a Japanese father and a Filipino mother in San Ildefonso, Bulacan. She was a two-time winner in the Japan Ladies Professional Golf Association Tour. Previously, Saso won individual and team gold medals at the Jakarta 2018 Asian Games and represented the Philippines at the Tokyo Olympics along with Bianca Pagdanganan and Juvic Pagunsan. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. Restrictions are further relaxed. Metro Manila is now under Alert Level 2 until November 21 as the COVID-19 situation continues to improve and with vaccination still in full blast. President Rodrigo Duterte is not mincing his words against the International Criminal Court. He asserts he is ready to take full responsibility for the war on drugs and even face jail time. A slight sigh of relief for consumers. The country's inflation eased to 4.6% in October. The central bank says there is nothing to worry about inflation outlook for the rest of the year. And always a Filipino by heart, the Philippine Olympics Committee thanks Yuka Saso for raising the Filipino flag in major competitions abroad as she decides to become a Japanese citizen. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear face masks and face shields, wash your hands often, practice safe physical distancing, go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and the IBC 13. Christmas is fast approaching as it's 50 days before Christmas. But always remember, always follow the safety and health protocols imposed by the government. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. We tell stories that inspire change. I'm Marita Muaje. Stay safe and have a good day.